You are now entering the realm of white hot business. This is where we get real about why what happens in the bedroom and your body is a reflection of your business confidence and visibility. I'm your host, sexologist and business mentor Lauren White, and I'll guide you to become the sovereign, magnetic, and sensual woman that's available for more success and satisfaction. Access all areas. It's time to transform your business from lukewarm to white hot. I'm feeling like an incredibly wealthy woman introducing today's guest. In fact, I don't feel like an incredibly wealthy woman. I am an incredibly wealthy woman for one reason, for many reasons, but for one reason in particular. I get to introduce today's guest, Suzy Ashworth. She is a single mum of 3 children. She's a high school dropout. She's a Hay House author multiple times over. She's an international keynote speaker, a multiple 7-figure success coach, serial entrepreneur on a mission. Over the last 10 years, she has worked with thousands of impact-driven leaders in business to create quantum shifts and leaps in their lives and their businesses. Her vision is to raise the vibration of humanity by helping people to consciously create freedom, joy, and abundance. And she generously shares the secrets of how to tap into the frequency of infinite receiving. Her work has been featured all over the world, and her work has stayed in my heart for years now. I want to say 4 years. Suzy Ashworth, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much for having me. It is a real honor and a privilege to be here again.
Again, yes. What is Suzy referring to? Suzy was the first guest I ever invited on my podcast when it was titled The Secrets Women Keep. It was the secrets of quantum transformation, because of course it was. And she really supported me to pop that podcast guest cherry, and it was really beautiful. I will put it in the notes because I think it would be equally fascinating for listeners to cross-checked that episode 3 years ago and the episode that you're listening to right this minute. Suzy, I neglected to mention something when I introduced you. You have a book.
I have a Sunday Times best-selling book, yeah.
What is it like to say that you have a Sunday Times best-selling book? What is the feeling?
Yeah, it's fucking epic. It's really, really cool. It's funny because I had been listening to a guy talk about the fact that it's cool for about 5 minutes. And I was like, yeah, it's cool for about 5 minutes. Like, I'm not really bothered about it not happening for me. Like, who cares? And then when it happened, I ran around my kitchen just like, oh my God, oh my God. And then I looked at my phone. I was like, it's been 10 minutes. It's still amazing. And it still feels really incredible, actually. And it's incredible for me, but it's also incredible for so many of the people that have followed my journey. And I think that for many people, when they see me doing crazy, incredible, wild things, because I am so accessible, because I am so normal, because I am, I am not a guru on top of the mountain. I'm Suze. People are like, well, if she can do it, I can do it. And so it has been incredible for me, but it's been incredible for my community as well to see me, normal human being, doing extraordinary things. So yeah. I'm happy for all of us.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. Me too. And as a member of that community, what I really value most about you is witnessing you refine. You keep refining what you're doing and how you're showing up and what your offers are and how we can access those offers. And I just want to say that when you see a book like this and you read a book and experience a book like this, that's what I experience when I read your work and when I access your work. It's like, of course, this is happening for her, because we've all just seen you stay devoted, stay committed, you keep deciding and you keep refining. And that is, I think that's it's not a secret, but I also think it's one of your secrets as well, that people undoubtedly would try to overcomplicate when it comes to business. Starting from scratch, trying like new. And when I see you, I just think refinement.
Thank you. I really receive that, because when you're in it, it doesn't always feel like that. And when you're winning and you're riding a crest of a wave, it definitely feels like that. But when you're having those moments where you're like, thing ever going to work again? Like, do I need to burn the whole thing down? Do I need to start again? You forget that actually the secret is refinement. You forget that the secret is reflection, and it to be a critical reflection that is going to serve you rather than feed the gremlins of unworthiness and I'm not good enough and I need to be a different human being in order to succeed. So it's really beautiful to have that reflection. And also, when I take the time to go back through very old content, I searched out the first YouTube video that I had ever made. And whilst the fashion has improved, the message actually is the same. I say it differently, but the message is the same. And that also really warms my heart.
You used the words burn it all down when you first started responding to this reflection I made about you. Have you ever come close?
I would not say I've come close to burning it all down. I did close down a 7-figure revenue stream that did feel a little bit like I had burned it all down. Not whilst I was doing it, but after. After it was like, I mean, it absolutely was. But it did feel, there were many times where I questioned whether that had been the right decision. And if I'm really honest, I still think that there are a couple of years to go until I look back and I'm able to see exactly what the picture was, the masterpiece was that I have created because of that decision. I think that there is even more. I think that there are even bigger lessons that I am yet to grasp from making that decision. I know that I needed to create space for infinite receiving. I know that I could not have done what I've done if I had still been running that container, because it would have been out of alignment and out of integrity. So at the moment, that's the biggest lesson. And that lesson is huge, but something tells me that there is more that I will glean from making that decision.
I'm with you on that. I think anything that you decide to change, there's almost like your future self is standing ahead of time and saying to you now, do this, it will make sense later. It's not, and I think that's where business can get really sticky for so many women, and they detach from what feels like it really lights them up, because they're going into their heads and they're making so many decisions that need to quote unquote make sense, that have this short-term gratification to them. But there's so much power in the reflection piece that you mentioned before, and the trust of, you have this much data right now. I'm just putting up my thumb and my pointer finger. You have this much data right now, and what you did, and what I'm hearing is, you took that data that you had, put it up against all of the quantitative evidence of, this is a 7-figure stream of revenue for me, and you went, I'm still going to do it. You chose.
Fuck it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I'm not doing this anymore. I did do that. And some people would say that was a crazy decision. And the reality is that all learning happens in hindsight. I am still learning about myself from when I was 19 years old. I'm still learning about myself from when I was 23 years old. I'm still learning about my ex-husband, and we've now been separated for 3 years. I'm not even sure if I was on the podcast whether we'd separated or not. But
yeah, you just shared that you'd made that decision, and were in the process of it.
So, every important piece of learning you will ever do happens in hindsight. And I think that in and of itself is one of my most powerful lessons over the last few years, is that we want to always see into the future, and it is impossible. But you are making your future based on the decisions that you are making today and the decisions that you made yesterday. So when you finally get to your future now, then it will start to make sense.
What's feeling like it makes the most sense for you in your current business model right now?
Infinite receiving the brand versus the book or the coaching certification or any of the individual elements, but the brand. For me, it goes beyond, and it's funny because I've just referred to it as the brand because it is a brand, but it is also my life's work.
Yeah.
So every morning I am reading just a page of the book, and pretty much within 1 or 2 pages, there will be a nugget for me to lean into for the day and think about for the day, or question how I could say it better next time, or how I want to talk about it more powerfully, how I want to live it more powerfully. And that for me is such a gift, that because it's actually quite rare that I go through my own work. It's not, I don't listen to my own podcast after. I should do.
I know
I should do, but I'm not going to listen to my own freaking podcasts. So I was there, I lived it. But with the book, I have this real knowing that the more I am an embodiment of what it is that I am teaching in that book, the more lives that I am going to help, whether people buy the book or not, because what is in those pages is truth. It's the truth to receiving. And the more that we receive, the more we give, the more we impact, the more we be. And it's a book about being. It's how to be yourself, how to be full of yourself, how to allow more of yourself to show up moment by moment, day by day, week by week, month by month. And as you do that, as you allow yourself to be full of yourself, you cannot help but receive infinitely across every single area of your life. So why wouldn't I want to do that every day? Why wouldn't I want that to be my study? So infinite receiving is the thing that is making the most sense to me.
Yeah. And I would also add that it's a movement. It's a movement that you are at the helm of. You're one of the people at the helm of that movement, and you're an instigator, and you're an igniter, and you're a lighthouse for it, and it has a life of its own as well.
Oh God. I'm very excited to see what it is going to become, because it absolutely does have a life of its own. And it's the first thing that I have created that I've had to sit and wait for it to be ready to be birthed. You know, I didn't know what it was supposed to be to start with. You know, I didn't know what it was. And it was like, not ready yet, not ready yet, not ready yet, not ready yet, not ready yet. And then I went to Costa Rica. I was on retreat, and I had like done a like microdose of mushrooms and had a really beautiful ceremony. And after that ceremony, I began journaling, and it was like, just straight in. These are the 4 pillars. This is how you have lived your life. This is what has opened you up to everything that you have received so far. And when you go deeper, this is what we get to grow and evolve even more with these principles. And it was so obvious.
Yeah. Yeah. And it could only be obvious and crystallize in that moment because of every single thing that you'd done up until that point, everything that was an edge, every different way that you moved your body, every single practice, every single mentor. It could only crystallize in that way because of the everything and all of the edges that you explored.
Yeah. 100.
Yeah. You say in the book, and please tweak my wording if I don't have it spot on, you say that we're always in the frequency of receiving. Is that how you word it?
Yeah.
We're always in the frequency of receiving. For women in business, what is going on with us? What is going on for women in business, and when it comes to what it is that they choose to focus on in receiving? Are they choosing to focus on receiving the unsubscribes, the unfollows, the dislike, and then their vision and their experiencing of receiving is skewed and not really amplified, and the abundant, the desires, what do you notice within women who have their own business when it comes to receiving?
I think the first thing I want to do is just clarify what I mean by that statement. We are receiving 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, whether we like it or not. We're receiving a gift. We're receiving a lesson. We're receiving wisdom. We're receiving awareness. Like, there is data coming at us all of the time. And we're either consciously aware and allowing and learning from that data, or we are unconscious. And so most of the time, when people are saying, I'm not receiving, I don't know how to do it, I'm not a good receiver, I'm blocking my receiving, it's not that you're blocking your receiving, it's that you are being unconscious to all of the receiving that you are doing right now. So you are not learning from the lessons. You are not accepting the fact that you're being given a gift every single moment. So how do we move from unconscious into conscious? Is presence. Can I be here now? Because it's in the now and allowing our awareness to be here now that I can truly open myself up to what I am being shown, what I am being gifted. And so what is happening so many times for women in business is that we're looking at what happened yesterday or a month ago or a year ago. We're in the past. So I can't see anything that is happening now. It's like now isn't really happening because I'm just looking at the past and I'm berating myself for those past mistakes. I am telling myself that I'm not good enough because I fucked up that launch, or I didn't know how to do the email sequence, or whatever the story is. Or I'm projecting into the future how I am never, ever going to be as successful as my friend or the guru or the person that I bought the course from who says, oh, all I need to do is X, Y, and Z. And so all of my energy is being directed into an unsuccessful future. And so the frequency that I am living by and through in both of those past projections and future projections is one of lack, is one of not enoughness, is one of scarcity. And so when that is the frequency that I am living from and through, easy for me to say, from and through, the universe says, okay, that is where she's vibing. That's where they're vibing. Let's give her more of that. And so I am then infinitely receiving more scarcity, infinitely receiving more not enoughness, because that is where my energy is focused.
Where you're at right now, where are you focusing your energy?
I am ready for another quantum leap. And like when the book came in and I wasn't sure what that leap was going to look like. But actually, after just having a VIP day with you and being asked some incredible questions, I got real clear on what that next leap, what that next focus is going to be for me. And whilst we are not going to be giving the White Hot podcast an exclusive on what it is, I am feeling super pumped. It feels scary. It feels beyond me, actually. No, not quite. Let me rephrase that, because we talked about my 8-figure a year goal. That goal feels beyond me, but it's fun for me to play with. I genuinely believe that that will be my reality one day before I die, but it doesn't feel like it is now. And if it doesn't feel like it is now, then I can't allow that into my reality now. So I want to be very mindful when I say that my next quantum leap feels big and it feels scary. And I am going to, when you want a quantum leap, you have to approach things differently. And I think that one of the mistakes we make is that we talk a good game about a quantum leap and a quantum transformation.
Yeah.
But the way that we approach it is the way that we've always approached all of the things. Maybe we try and do it a little bit more. Maybe we try and do it a little bit bigger, but that isn't the energy of a quantum leap. So in the book, I talk about when I went from 420,000 to 1.2 million, I created a new program. I brought on 4 new mentors. I changed what was going on structurally in my team. The way that I thought changed. I began thinking like somebody who was building a 7-figure business, and then I acted in alignment. So if you look at the version of me that was tripling my income to go to 1.2 million versus the version of me who was earning 420,000, really everything was different. So right now, my focus is on getting really very clear on all of the things that are going to need to change. And and this is why I say the story about shutting down the 7-figure revenue stream is not over yet. That will be part of this story. And there is probably other parts of my current business model that I will need to make space for. I will need to let go in order to make space for this big leap. I am going to need to call on friends and my network in a way that I have never done before. I'm going to have to, I've already got new mentors who are aligned to guiding me through this next phase. I'm going to have to use them in ways that I have not been using them so far.
Oh.
My business model for this thing that I'm going to be doing is going to be different from any other things that I've done, like similar in the realms of. So many things are going to look very, very different. And understanding more the science of the leap, that whilst it feels scary, I understand that I am stacking the odds in my favor for success with the way that I'm looking at this new project, this next step. So feels good.
Yeah. How do you know what to keep when you're going through a quantum leap?
Very, very difficult question, because sometimes you've got to let go of the good stuff. And again, I keep referring back to this 7-figure revenue stream, but on paper, that was a good thing. You know, it didn't make sense to let it go because it was, you know, the clients liked it. I liked it. It was earning good money.
Yeah.
Didn't really make sense. And so I listened to another incredible podcast with my friend Emily Fletcher and Blue of Earth. And she talked about, you know, she has a podcast where there are millions of downloads every single episode. And she has stopped working on her podcast because she's birthing a new tarot deck. And to the outside world, that is like stupid.
Yeah.
It's like, you have this podcast, millions of downloads. But she knew that there was no way that she could bring this tarot deck into the world whilst her attention was being pulled. So she has put that on a pause. And as soon as she started speaking, I was like, she's preparing for another quantum leap.
Yeah.
You know, allowing parts of herself to die in order to be reborn again. And I am currently using I don't want to get the name wrong, which is really frustrating. I'm currently using a deck by Kyle Gray. I want to say that it's the Activation of Light, but that's not quite the name. And the card that I keep pulling is the Orion Activation, which is all about destruction, recreation, and rebirth. I think I've pulled it 3 times over the last weekend. Yeah. And that, for me, that's an exciting card. It's asking me to let go of the old so I can bring in the new. So I'm looking at this. There are some friendships that I have had to release.
Wow, that's a hard one.
There are really hard.
That's a really hard one we don't talk often about, but that's it. Yeah, I feel that.
I'm looking for energy leaks. I'm looking for any leak in my system that is keeping me tethered to what was instead of moving me towards what will be.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you ever think about what do you feel about the timing of when people come back into your world? Like me, for example, I've been in your world. I've always been around you and been connected. Now I've come back. Do you ever pause and just go, wow, why is that person coming through at this time? Is there a mirror there for the client and for you? I'd just be curious what your take is on client timing and where you're at.
I never think, why are they coming back in now? I am always like, yeah, amazing.
You're in such a celebratory frequency. You're not ever going, why?
Yeah. I trust that my evolution will keep bringing people back into the space.
Yes, agreed. Yeah.
I think if my programs are the same, so some people they've done one program for the last 10 years, 15 years.
Yeah.
So you've got people like Marie Forleo, it's B School. I'm not going to go back and do B School now. I'm not going to do that. But if she had continued to create new things that were reflective of her level in business, then absolutely I would go back, because I think that she's a boss, So yeah, I think that as long as I keep creating and as long as I am walking a path that people who have once walked the path with me can see, and it aligns to where they're going again, that it absolutely makes sense. I've got somebody in my mastermind now. God, I'm so grateful. It's taken years and years. She's like, I'm in, I'm out, I'm in, I'm out, I'm in, I'm out. And what was really crazy is that I reached out to her and just congratulated her. She has a book out. And I said, oh, do you want to come and let's have a chat on the podcast? And then, a couple of months later, she is like in my mastermind. And it was years ago that she first considered working with me, and it just never happened.
Yeah.
And so I never question why.
Okay.
I'm always grateful when, and I trust that it's because I keep evolving.
Yeah. Hey, that's such a beautiful answer. I'm like, yeah, no more questions. No more questions on that one. I love what you shared. On the note of timing, Infinite Receiving is just it's just such an incredible book, and I'm just loving gifting it to my clients and having them bring it up in our work together. It's just, that's what I mean. That movement is happening in private spaces, and I just think, it's one of the things, I'm such a book nerd, and I just think that's what I love about books, is all the private conversations and activation that happens, and you're not responsible for it. You're only responsible for putting it out. But back to the book, can you share with listeners what you learned from delivering that book? Because the original timeline and the actual timeline ended up being different. And you did a wonderful personal post on your Facebook account for it. And I would just love listeners to be able to be privy to some of those gems that were in that reflection.
Yeah, I think what was interesting about it is that it all happened very quickly. I had been on a mastermind day with Kyle Gray and Rebecca Campbell. And a couple of other incredible Hay House authors. And I'd mentioned Infinite Receiving, and I'd mentioned that I had an idea for a book, and Kyle mentioned it to the CEO of Hay House. She got me in for a meeting, and I swear the meeting was about 17 minutes long. And I shared with her the idea for the book, and she just went, yep, that's amazing, we'll take it. I was like, say what now? We have these conversations with our clients all the time, and people say, God, it was just too easy and it doesn't feel real. It was like one of those moments. There was no book proposal. There was no agonizing over it for hours. I didn't have any of the data, or it was literally like a 17-minute conversation. And I was like, okay, that's amazing. She then did come back to me and say, you need to just write the outline down so we can share it with the US team to see if they want to take it as well. And I said, okay. And she came back to me super quickly. It was like, they love it as well. And yeah, let's get going. When do you want to have it published by? And in my head, it was my 10-year in business anniversary last year.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing Infinite Receiving Live, and I had this whole beautiful venue booked. I'd been at BAFTA in March. Like, my decade in business was, on the outside, just a real celebration of making it 10 bloody years. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And so I wanted the book to come out as well. And actually, just thinking about all of the things that we did last year. So 3 events in 12 months, and I was writing the book and launching different programs. We launched coaching certification and, yeah, several other things. I think it was probably just pushed too much.
Okay.
And so when I was supposed to have the book ready in February, it was like, the book is not going to be ready in February. So then it was like, okay, we'll move the deadline back. Can we get it done by April? And I was like, I don't know if the book is going to be ready by April. And then I think that in the end, I had to submit the final draft in July. But then, of course, we missed the September deadline. Then we missed a November deadline. Then they told me that they wanted me to have it out on Boxing Day. And I was like, I am not promoting my book on bloody Boxing Day. And so the final date that they gave me was February, which was, the book in the end, the published date was the 6th of February.
Mm-hmm.
And it was 2 days after the first book that I wrote got published 8 years prior. So in 2006, so the 4th of February 2016 is when the Calm Birth School, that was what the book was called at the time, came out. And then 8 years later, on the 6th of February, I had Infinite Receiving. And that I had no idea about until I don't know, I don't even know what made me look. But when I saw how close the dates were, both published on a leap year, 8 years apart, it felt really, really special. It felt like, of course, it was going to have this tie. So it was a real hero's journey writing the book. I worked with a ghostwriter. I'm not sure that I would ever do that again. And my human design, I'm a generator. And you thought I was a money gen, but I'm not. I'm a generator.
Oh, you're a generator.
But yeah. I respond well. And so what would happen is that the ghostwriter would write the ghostwriter would take my transcription from my program that I had written. Then she would write it. Then I would read it and be like, no, 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 no. And it was weird because it was my words. But there is a difference between the way that I speak and then the way that I wanted it written. And I think that when I'm in the program and I'm talking, not only am I going off on tangents, but I'm also going to the depths. And I wanted this book to be super accessible. And I didn't want me kind of going off on mad riffs about things that I think would have made it more challenging for people to read. And I think that part of the beauty of this book is that I am taking some age-old spiritual principles, some new things that people are like, oh, I've never heard it that way before, or I've literally never heard that before.
Yeah.
And it's very much grounded in my own real life experience. And I think that it's my real life experience combined with this insight, which is what is making the book so resonant with so many people, which is amazing. But it needed the time that it needed to be birthed the way that it wanted to be birthed. But the process, it was painful for me. Every insecurity, in the book, I'm talking about being in your fullness. I'm talking about knowing your greatness. Like, how can you receive at your optimal if you are contracted by crippling self-doubt? It's impossible. So you want to receive more, you have to know your worth. You have to know your inherent and intrinsic value on this planet, irrespective of where you were born, who you were born to, what car you drive, how much money you've got in your bank account. You have to know that. And it's a choice and it is a decision to start on that path of knowing. So I'm writing this at the same time as being like, do you think this is good enough? I don't think this is good enough. Do you think people are going to understand this? Do you think this is like, it's a real meta experience of me having to take a deep breath, read what I'm writing and allow it to be my truth, because I know that it's true, but I'm not acting in alignment with that truth in that moment. So there's this real push and pull that happened right throughout the writing that was so beautiful, because if I didn't honor the book, I would never have got the book out there.
Yeah.
It would have been impossible to write that. And the fact that I had Hay House like on my backside being like, where's the book? So that was also helpful.
But what you've just shared, I mean, I already trust you. I already trust your words. That, like you said, they're already resonant, but that just takes that like trust resonance even deeper for me. The fact that you're a human channeling this, conveying this, expressing what you did in the book, and that you had your own tussle with it. Like, that just makes it even more, it's already perfect, and that just makes it even more perfect for me. I don't want to hear, I sat down, it all flowed out in 43 minutes and it was ready.
It's done.
I want to hear, you are the embodiment of it because of how you showed up, even though your brain was bringing up another story or something old, or you can look back to your past, or like you were mentioning before on this episode, your presence and attention is anywhere but in this moment. That only makes it even truer from my perspective.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. You mention the words, I smiled to myself when I read your book, because you actually use the term anticlimactic 2 or 3 times. Do you remember writing that word? Yeah. Do you remember using that term?
Actually, I do. I remember using it when I'm talking about when people are being driven to achieve because they think that the achievement is going to give them something. It's going to make them happier. It's going to make them more satiated. And it can be true for about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then you get the anticlimax. You're still you and you still feel empty.
Yes.
So we have to shift from the outside in to the inside out. And I think with all of the work that you will have done over the years with your sex clients, all of those who are in that space of sex addiction specifically, it's that craving, give me more, give me more, give me more. I want to feel satisfied, by something outside of me, because there is something inside of me that feels so painful or so lacking or so not enough that I think that I can fix it with the outside external forces.
Yes.
And it's never going to last. Like, it's great when you're having sex and then like back to real life.
Yeah.
And it's the same with all of the things. I'm not anti things. This book can absolutely help you get more of the stuff that you want.
Mm-hmm.
I just want people to receive the stuff from a place of knowing that whether I have it or not, I'm fucking great.
Yes.
You know,
massive difference. Yes.
Cherry on top of the cake.
Yeah.
But why did you love my use of the word anticlimactic so much?
I loved it because I haven't shared this with you I didn't share this with you on our VIP intensive day, but my private work, my high touch mentoring container is called Climactic. That's the name of. And I love the word, I love the concept, and my approach is, or my words, my affirmation for that concept of having a climactic life, body, bedroom business is that the deeper we go, the higher we climax. That is what I say over and over. The deeper we go, the higher we climax. And why I brought up anticlimactic is, again, word nerd, love playing with words, love chewing on them. But I also saw this overlap with what you were saying and the work that I do. Being climactic, having a climactic body, business, and bedroom is not about just always getting the rush and trying to get the high and get more for the sake of more, so that this elusive feeling in the future, you can try and pull it in and make it happen now. And then when I get the feeling, exactly what you said. So I was just seeing the parallels there, and really wanted to highlight where I see our work overlap is you and I both reference depth. Even on the last podcast 3 years ago, it was, you said something, or one of the things that you would say often at the time was, everything is an invitation to go deeper into yourself. I think it was words to that effect. And I just wanted to point out that I love that you use this has no. I just wanted to say I love that you use anticlimactic, and I love that you just ran with it then and shared what your take on it is, because anticlimactic is a fizzle. It's a fizzle, and I personally want women to know that we don't have to stand for or tolerate the fizzle, the quick ups and downs, that life and business can be incredibly rich, incredibly satisfying. And we can have that sense of feeling satiated and have an experience of wealth. And I'm going to bring it back to kind of wrap it up in one of your final chapters in the book. For me, it's about love and partnerships in business.
In life. And it's funny that you bring it to there, because what was going through my mind as I was listening to you is, at the weekend, I had this experience. I was out dancing, and I had been with a couple of friends, and the friend had left and I had stayed. And I was aware of this. There was a little part of me, a little part of my mind, was aware that I was on my own. And in the past, it would have been very easy for me to go into not a spiral, because that's not really who I am, but not be present in the moment to the music. Not be present in the moment to my body in the way that my body desired to move. To feel less than. And I'd had this experience with plant medicine at the beginning of the year. And the same phrase came back to me, like, I choose me. I choose me. I choose me. I choose me. And so I'm dancing, I'm listening to the bass. The bass is like reverberating in the whole of my chest. And I'm looking up and I'm looking around and I'm seeing the other people. And I don't need anything from anybody. And not in a fiercely wild, independent, I don't need anything.
Yeah.
But in a very, I am choosing me in this moment, and I am so delicious. I am so amazing. I know who I am. I know who I am. I choose me. I claim me. And that for me is deep love. And my experience of loving myself has really evolved over the last few years. And I've had very visceral experiences of what self-love feel like. And then I've had experiences like in the club where I really allowed myself to love and honor myself without feeling any lack, despite being on my own.
Mm.
And that for me is so beautiful. And I know that that's the energy that is a match for the next love of my life.
Yeah.
I know that that energy is a match for building a business that is so fucking sexy and cool and gratifying. Like, that's the energy.
Yeah.
I choose me first. I'm not waiting for you to choose me. I'm not waiting for the next person to come into my mastermind. I'm not waiting for the person to say yes. I'm not like, is that person going to say, I choose me?
Yeah.
It changes how I write. It changes how I speak. It changes how I show up.
Yes.
It changes everything.
Yes,
so
it does.
That love for yourself is the vibe.
Yeah. I love you, Suzy Ashworth, and
this is a great conversation. Why are you ending that? That was a full stop.
Because I think that is the most beautiful climax to end our conversation on, is just always leave them wanting a little bit more.
Yeah.
We don't go for full satisfaction. Still got to keep you a little bit hungry for more. Speaking of the more, where can listeners infinitely receive more of themselves through your work? Where can they find you?
Yeah. Well, the book is available in all places. So Amazon and all of that good stuff. But also, you are very, very, very welcome to come over and try out my Infinite Receivers Members Club. And you can do that for absolutely $0 or pounds, wherever you are listening to this from in the world. All you need to do is go to suzyashworth.com/Lauren, and you'll see how you can get a 14-day free trial.
Fantastic.
There's loads of beautiful trainings and audios and meditations and all of that good stuff to help you go deeper with the book. Or even if you haven't got the book, you will get the essence of infinite receiving, and give yourself the gift of receiving more. And if you like it, you can stay and play.
Yeah. I think that people will go beyond liking and fall in love with you, as I did all those many moons ago, and stay in your world, because there's one thing I know about you and the message and the work is there is always more. There is always another level, another layer, another degree. That's another thing that you mentioned in the book. So when you read the book, you will know exactly what I'm talking about when I use the word degree. There's always more. So go claim it for yourself and get yourself into Suzy's world. You will never, ever, ever look back. Thanks, Suzy. Thank you for being on White Hot Business.
Yay. Thank you for having me. It's been an honor and a pleasure.
I trust that you were activated from today's episode, and if you're naturally left wanting more, you have several white hot options available to you. If you want to make this your most climactic year in business, head to the Work With Me page on laurenwhite.com.au to find out how you can be seen and forever transformed. Not right for private mentoring but want tangible steps to go from lukewarm to turn on? Get your free 10 days of turn on for you and your business at laurenwhite.com.au/turn-on. And if you yearn to give a little back after crushing on the podcast, hit subscribe and leave a captivating review so that more women can access the possibilities of a white hot business.